Hello, everyone. This is a very exciting. This is a very exciting video. Mason's here, but he's only here for the start and the end, aren't you, Mason? Because you're too busy listening the entire time.
I'm going to be fascinated. I wasn't here in time to.
No, he was listening the whole time. He was captivated.
I was captivated and silent.
That's
okay,
right.
Yeah, no, that sounds like something I would be.
We're talking to a couple of the Aunty Donna boys about their Netflix series.
Available now.
That's right. Big ol' House of Fun, which is now available. You should absolutely check it out if you haven't already.
It's up there on Netflix. It's free if you got Netflix.
That's right, exactly. But basically in this video we go through go to woe, how they started, kind of they're clamoring away, how they get in their sweaty, dirty hands on things, you know what
That's
I mean,
right,
to make it happen.
Just grubbing around on the ground, putting their little sketches together.
So many failures along the way. You're going to love it, especially if you don't like them. I mean, you hate the end because they'll get the Netflix thing.
So quit it. Stop listening about the 30-minute mark, I reckon.
Exactly. But we'll be back at the end to see what's going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, see you at the end. When people knew that I was talking to you guys, one of the biggest questions was, how do you get a Netflix show off the ground? Like, what's the steps to make that happen? Because it's kind of just one of those things where you hear, this thing was greenlit, and now it's on. Real Rob, you can watch it. It's 2 series.
100%. It was a long, crazy journey for us, literally. And the thing that's worth mentioning as well, I think, when talking about how we got from like a small sketch group in Australia to a Netflix series, often people talk about Hollywood being this place where it's a lot of hot air and a lot of people say yes a lot, but nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
Our journey, it took a very long time. But it kind of was just like step by step by step.
Very much so. Because and as we go through the story, what's important to know is like through each moment or each beat of something that happened, usually there's about 6 months of nothing happening in between.
And you think it might be dead, or the person that you spoke to has been fired, and you don't even know.
Yes. Many people are dead.
Many people are dead now.
Do you mind? I want to take it like right back to the very beginning, because for those who don't know, which is probably not a lot if you're watching this, you guys started back in 2011 and you met at uni.
Yeah.
I was going to say slow road, long road. You've been just doing this solidly for like 9 years. You've got a podcast, festival shows. You had a Channel 31 series, multiple web series through Screen Australia. My understanding is that you nearly got a series up with Stan as well in Australia.
Yeah, and
so
ABC as well,
Yeah, so there's been all these things that have kind of happened along the way. So with Stan, how did that happen in Australia? I wanted to ask you about that specifically, because that's the streaming service here. It's like our Netflix, but not as big, I guess.
Yeah.
Would be a way
and
to
now
put
we
it.
officially can say not as good.
Yeah, that's right.
Every step that we've kind of gotten has just been through just like lots and lots of just trying to work our asses off and get to positions where we're in a position to take advantage of things.
Yeah.
And you think yourself ready?
Like, we started out just making live shows, and every time someone said, hey, do you want to make a TV show? We've just put our hat in the ring.
Yep.
And occasionally you get a bite, you get a nibble, if we're using the fish analogy. But yeah, so with Stan, we started to develop an idea, and Screen Australia, the Australian funding body, helped us to develop it. And at that point, with the producer we were working at the time. But it got to the point where we either needed to figure out overseas collab funding, because a thing that Australian creators often come up against is that it's just too small a country for things that aren't necessarily broad and mainstream to be made. And in our instance, we're often making the alternative. This would be a great time to show some of our more absurd stuff in the video. Yeah, we're definitely not broad. And I think what happens in Australia a lot of the time is you need to broaden your sensibilities so that more people can get on board with it. You know, if we can make a sketch show that was about The Bachelor on Channel 10, we might have a better chance of being on mainstream TV.
Was there that temptation to be like, we could just broaden out just a little, you know what I mean, and have this wider appeal? Was that on your mind?
Well, I mean, that's all we want to do is make a sketch show about The Bachelor. That is the path we're on. The Netflix is just a stepping point
to come back to Australia. Got it, yeah.
To say that we haven't been tempted to try and like broaden and be less weird, I would say is a lie. But when we've tried to do it, we're just incapable of doing it. We don't know how to do anything. We've made stuff at that point, but then at some point it becomes obvious that what we're doing is just not necessarily feasible for such a small country. And when places like ABC and other places have to make a TV show, it's usually like the one show that they're investing in to be the good show.
You got to be one of those 3 shows on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of spot that you're going for, really.
Yeah. A lot of people's jobs are on the line, and, you know, people's reputations.
Yeah.
And so you'll get a lot of notes saying, hey, this has to be this, or it has to be that, or you're too risky. And her experience on the other side with Netflix was pretty much you're one of, as you know, like a lot. We're not trying to get as many people. We're not trying to hit the demographic of 30 to 40 females who like to buy Gatorade. They're trying to find as many diverse voices to reach out to the whole family, the whole household. And Mark says this all the time, but the show we got to make on Netflix is genuinely just our show.
Yeah.
It's not us trying to do something else or trying to win over people who this isn't their sense of humor. It literally is just us with the budget of a Netflix show blowing it up.
Every time we've tried to do stuff in Oz, the feedback has pretty much been, you can't just do what you do on YouTube.
That doesn't work, is that?
No, that doesn't work on
yeah.
TV. And also, people can get it for free on YouTube. So why are they going to pay to see what you do there on this platform, right? So
this proven idea of yours, why would people be interested?
Exactly, right? So that's been the sort of thing that we'd been up against. And like Broden just said, with Netflix, it just wasn't that. It was like we basically have given them, this is what we've always done. This is our strength. What we found was happening to us was we were constantly moving away from what we knew we were best at, which is sketch, right?
Yeah.
And everyone was saying, well, you can't just do sketch, you got to do sketch, but you got to do something else. And that other thing has to be at least equal to or greater than.
Is that like a through line where one of you has a relationship and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. The show that we made for Stan was essentially a sitcom.
Right.
But Chaperones, no one's really seen.
Okay.
Chaperones.
I have.
Broden's seen it.
I've found with you guys as well, the more niche and specific that you get, that seems to be the more popular stuff as well. One of my favourite sketches is The School Nurse. And there's a lot of very Australian moments in that. But that seems to have this broad appeal that people understand regardless.
A gunshot.
What?
It's a philosophy on comedy that I think we changed halfway through our journey. The first place that we really started to tour to overseas was the beautiful people in the UK and Edinburgh. And we used to take our shows that we'd done in Australia and just strip them of all the Australian references and put back in things that would work for them.
Marmite, Vegemite.
Yep. They didn't have Ellen, for example. They just didn't watch Ellen. And so you'd come up against roadblocks. We were watching one day another stand-up comedian, Nick Cody from Australia, performing over there. And I watched his show and he didn't change one reference. He made it very Australian and the audience loved it. And I said, why didn't you change it? He says, they don't care. They they think you're exotic. They want you to be you.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, at least for me, it was a light switch moment where you just go, no, I'm going to write what is truthful to me and what is funny to me. And people will either understand it or they'll get the sense that I'm being authentic.
I feel like that's really well exemplified with the name Glen Ridge for your high school series.
Exactly.
Nobody would get that overseas. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't even get it here because he hosted Sal the Century in the 90s.
Yeah.
But also people then, I feel, would go, what is that? Google it. Oh, that's a fun callback.
Yeah.
You can look into it and there's layers to it as well.
And in our Netflix show, it's an American high-budget television series that is an American-produced show.
Yeah.
And it is just lathered with references that are for no one apart from Mark and myself and maybe you, James. Car City Ringwood is in this show.
Yeah, we do a parody of a segment that used to happen on the footy show, Lose Handball. Yeah, we do. There's that's layers in there. There's references to people we went to fucking uni with. Yeah. That's literally for
that's
50
just for
people
them, right?
who were in our year levels and stuff. Well, another thing we realized was when you change the references and you try and make it something that they understand, you lose the funny for yourself. If I'm thinking of Vegemite and I want to say Vegemite, that comes with 32 years of having Vegemite in my home and that experience with it. And I know it's just one word, but it's loaded.
Yeah.
And as soon as you change it, it just doesn't have that same feeling for the performer.
Yeah,
and then
right.
it loses something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what we came to. It's I'd rather people not laugh or maybe not laugh as hard or maybe not understand it as much, but it come from a place of truth.
Yeah.
The comedy come from a place of truth than trying to manipulate it so that everyone kind of is on board with it. Because they'll know it's fake.
Yeah.
They'll know I don't know what the fuck Marmite is. What the fuck are you talking about?
I feel as well, if you did go that way and you produced a product like that and then it didn't do well because it was a watered down version, the response would be from the higher ups, well, this was never going to work. We roll the dice on these guys and, we tried to help, but it's too niche.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah, at least die on the sword that you choose to die on, I think is the turn of phrase.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kill yourself with the sword that you want to.
At the start of The Wolverine, that scene where the they're doing the swords.
There's two swords.
There's two
One
swords.
sword is your sword.
Yep.
And then there's a different sword.
And
Okay.
The robot is the guy from the start.
There's the
Yeah, it's the
samurai
same guy,
robot.
but because he's older at the end.
But there's two swords.
There's two swords.
Well, I have a sword.
Yeah.
Essentially, if there's a sword and it's mine, don't fucking touch it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that's the same.
But I'll die on it.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to die.
That's just for you, though.
Oh, kill me.
Yeah.
I want to die.
Sorry, what?
When you pitched in the US, did you have anybody that you looked to that were like, oh, these guys did it. This is someone we can talk to and follow? Because I feel like there's nobody from here that's had your exact experience or even something similar where you could look to and go, yeah, okay, so these guys did this, and this, and we can go that road.
Yeah, no, like I hesitate to say this, but I can't think of, because Chris Lilly had a Netflix show, but it was shot in Oz, and I think Netflix Australia had something to do with it.
Yeah, right, okay.
And I think a lot of people are confused. This has nothing to do with Australia,
Yeah.
except for the fact that we're Australian.
I mean, you've got an international audience.
Yeah.
So how were you first noticed by the people that you were involved with?
Here's the story.
Yeah, this is
Here we
nuts.
go. Okay.
About 6 years ago now, we got an unsolicited email, which is not common for a YouTuber, James. I don't know if you know that, but we got an unsolicited email from a man saying, "Hello, I think you guys are really funny. I'm a manager in Los Angeles. If you ever want to talk about me looking after you guys here, I'd love to chat. If not, this is just a message from a fan."
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that's not real. But let's just follow up for the lol.
Sure, yeah.
And we're like, let's Google him as well, because he had like the name of his company. So we're like, all right, let's check to see if it's legit. Copy and paste it into Google, and nothing came. No website came up.
Yeah.
We're like,
And you feel like somebody could have created that email using that guy's name? Or,
who knows?
Worst case scenario, we're on that MTV catfish show. and that's a great story, great sketch.
And this was also before we really had a lot of success online. We'd had a few videos do well.
So this is 2014-ish.
Yeah, 15, 14,
Yeah. So nothing, definitely not. We hadn't experienced the online success that we were sort of experiencing our web series 1999 and post that. It was much before any of that was happening. So it felt strange in the sense that it was like, what have you seen that you liked? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how did you see it?
But then eventually, like, we're like, oh, well, let's just let him, what's the harm?
Yeah, if you're not handing over...
You know, what we feel like we could commit to is we'll do 1 week in LA. At some point, we'll go to LA for 1 week, meet with this guy, see what's up. If it's a bust, it's a bust.
Worst case scenario, we go to Disneyland, we have some burgers.
Yeah,
Right.
And like...
Do a vlog. You can do a little vlog.
And we've got a story to tell,
Yeah.
about how we got scammed by some weirdo.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a flash forward a year, and we're there. We land at the airport. We drive to the office, I guess. We stayed we got an Airbnb for all 6 of us.
Yep.
The Aunty Donna team.
I should point that out as well. There's not just 3 of you. There's a whole team behind this.
There's
So I just
6
want to
of
make
us,
mention of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing worth mentioning is like we're a group of people, and the one thing that kind of puts us together is that we just like making comedy. So this member of our group who is a passionate comedy film director, a passionate music maker, and a passionate writer. So, and 3 just happen to be passionate comedy performers.
Yeah.
But we're all a comedy group in that sense.
Yeah.
We were staying in an Airbnb smaller than this podcast studio. Touching each other around the room as we slept, like we're all like feet to head around the room.
I slept on a footstool. So
curled up like a cat.
Yeah, so like it was just a 1-room apartment.
I'm the smallest in my group of friends.
Yeah.
So does that normally happen? It's like you get the middle seat, you get the smallest bed. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to curl up. You can fold me away. That's fine.
One thing I remember from that night as well is Tom and Mark thought it would be fun at 3 a.m. on Tom's laptop, slow down old Linkin Park songs to like
700%.
and I'm trying to sleep and just
There was just a moment where like we're just sitting there laughing at how funny Linkin Park slowed down 700% is, and then Broden sits up out of bed and goes, "Can you fucking stop playing Linkin Park? Slowed down 700%." And we're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, it's 3 a.m. This is a strange thing to be doing."
we showed up to his office, we opened the door, he existed.
Wow.
And he was a cool guy. And he gave us his buddy's car for a week. And he said, drive around and do all these meetings. We did a bunch. We ended up on the Fox lot. We walked past the writer's room in the Simpsons. We just got we were in the door.
Yeah, right.
And all the meetings he hooked us up with were just like, I felt like we met everyone that we could have that was important or relevant to us. We met with like Lorne Michaels' production company. We met with Tim and Eric's production company.
Yeah.
Was a Bad Robot? Like we met with like.
We met like Ben Stiller's company.
Ben Stiller's company, sorry. Like it was just so legit, and he was so legit, and we were just like, oh, wow.
And it's obviously just hello meetings, how's it going?
Yeah.
But he put on the list, I remember he added it, he said, there's one more meeting. This is probably a no-go, but it's Egg Helms' production company. And that week we'd been trying to go in and schmooze people. Hey, how you doing? and the last meeting of the week, I think it was, or just about, we met with Egg Helms' production company, and we were just like, well, this is going nowhere. We may as well just go in and be chill. And that's the one that we made the show with in the end.
Was that when, because you told me this story when we saw the movie Joker together last year,
yes.
Joker at cinemas.
That was a good movie. Actually, well, that's a whole.
You don't like it. I'm somewhere in the middle, and Mason hates it.
It was the spectrum of.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you met Egg Helms and you said, I like your office. Is that what you said? Or something
I did.
along those lines? Or like their office, sorry.
That was when we were pitching. That's when we were
Okay,
pitching.
that's
He did have a really nice office.
Yeah.
I didn't get the chance to meet him until we were pitching, and I just said, I just wanted to say I love the office because it's a really well designed office. He's like, oh, thanks.
So he was like, yeah, you love that really popular show, do you?
And it
It's
took me
unusual.
5 seconds to realize what I'd said. I was like, no, never I'll tell you that. But anyway, so then like we started to develop this show. It took 3 years of just notes, very like as every beat that we're saying just put 6 months of nothing in between.
Yeah, right. So was this back and forth on various Skype calls?
Yeah.
Just been
Well,
like,
yeah, because after that week of meetings, right, and like we had maybe 2 or 3 meetings a day, so we met with a lot of people. But
Yeah.
out of that week and everyone that we met, there were 2 companies that were interested in us, one of us being Egg Helms' company. And we were back and forthing with them for about a year and a half, 2 years, trying to develop an idea. The other company fizzled out eventually because it's just hard to keep communications going when you live in Oz and they're on
You
the
can't
other
just
side of the world.
pop in.
And it's the Hollywood thing as well that people put their fingers in every pie possible with the hope that one of them comes through, and that's just the way it is a bit.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the way that you guys have always done. Because I remember hearing an interview, I think it was on Funny and Failure maybe, where you talked about how you never think something's going to pay off. So you just always are doing something. It's not like stop everything. We'll just do this and we'll get this right.
Yeah.
You always think this is going to fall down, but we've got the web series or we're pitching here or, we've got a comedy album, and music album, sorry.
We're all about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, please.
We're all about contingencies where like the first...
It's all life rafts.
Exactly. The ABC pilot, the first thing we made, we were really proud of it and we thought it'd be great if that was a TV series. But when we finished it, we all just sort of sat down. And I think it's a good message for anyone who's trying to be creative is we went, when this doesn't happen, what's our move?
Which sword do we use?
Yeah, exactly. And the next thing we made after that, the energy that we put it towards was making our biggest web series, the thing that kind of broke us through to a lot of people, which is 1999. So we took a moment that was probably going to really upset us and ruin us a little bit, and we made it a point of strength. Is when we found out that show wasn't happening, we went, great, we're doing this cool thing that we're proud of. And in a lot of ways, probably was a better thing for us to do at that time. When we did get to a point where we walked into a big international network, we could say to them, we are these guys, we've been through this, we have
these
these
are our
skills,
numbers,
we have 10,000 hours of writing and developing.
And I think that's really important that you've got something to point to people. So you're not just like, we're just 6 guys and we love comedy. You've got this huge back catalogue that shows that you've been consistently doing the work with or without money.
If I can just add in something on that, though, what I've heard a lot from people in Hollywood as well, though, is sometimes I think people think they need to be billion-view people to break through in Hollywood, and it's actually not the case. You can be a small creator who is just engaging people and doing really interesting work, and they're more interested in that. Yeah, and I think it's just sort of shown that, there's just people out there who are doing great work on these open platforms like YouTube or Twitch or wherever, and given the chance, they can make cool stuff for other places.
Because I think the hardest thing for anyone, and why we feel so lucky, one of the reasons that this sort of happened for us is Hollywood seems so impenetrable. It seems so difficult to access and so hard, and it is. But we did. I feel a bit dirty telling this story because we did just get very lucky.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say we got in some mud.
Well, we did get in some mud.
Sure.
We
This
rolled
is
around
not
in
a
mud
metaphor.
a lot.
This is
and
like a literal.
Hollywood's
dirty
just
mud.
full of mud. But we got very lucky in that sense that and then we worked very hard and we like doubled down on
Yeah.
it and we made sure we never forgot about them because again, when you're in Australia, they're in America, you are the easiest thing for them to forget about.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because we were always, reminding ourselves that it's like we've got this one connection and we need to make sure that we nurture it and we keep coming back to it even if we don't hear from them for a long time. Anytime we're going to Edinburgh, let's try and make sure we stop off in LA on the way back home just to touch base with people. That was really important to us and we were doing that over the 6 years. You're just one of many things that they're doing, whereas they're the only thing that we were doing anyway, was that we had that one connection. So you need to make sure they don't forget about you.
We made sure that at every point we were doing the right thing to make sure that we were taking the TV development in America forward, but also took it with the entire thing with a grain of salt in that we were like, we have to do these meetings, but this is never
This
going
will never
to
happen.
Yeah, right.
This is impossible. This is a dream.
Like, this
Whatever.
is not going to happen, but let's go there and do all the stuff and do the work and write
Would
the
you
scripts.
guys always all go over? Or would it be like, okay, 2 of us will go and 4 of us will stay? Or was it like...
The faces do a lot of the pitching and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like we're kind of, I guess, what...
Because that's expensive, right, at a point. You
Yeah.
6
Oh,
of you
yeah.
going over at, $2,000 a ticket or whatever.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
doing
why
some rough maths.
Yeah, that's why we always tried to
12
like.
grand. Sorry.
No. We always tried to attach it to a tour or to a thing. Like there was very
like
rarely
stopping
that
back
we.
from Edinburgh,
Very
yeah.
rarely we all just went over there
Yeah.
to do that.
But it's also worth noting as well that as a group, we tour a lot in Australia and we have quite a hardcore fan base who will come out and buy tickets to our show.
Of course, yeah.
But a thing that we've always been about is like we could take some money now and have an okay lifestyle, or we could have a more humble income and do some cool things and take it further. That's kind of and we divide all of the income that we make 6 ways.
Yep.
And the term that keeps coming up in my head is we're okay to eat shit for long-term goals.
That's exactly how I see just anything in life. Because you guys said that I have a nice house, and I appreciate that. But it was literally like 10 years of eating shit, and just like living in horrible places and eating nothing. And not that I've come from a pretty good upbringing, but.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Not to the extent where you're killing yourself, but you need to kind of make some sacrifices, I feel.
The other thing I would add as well is the thing I say all the time is like if you're trying to get to a place where you make your career something that you love, set a time limit in your head and then double it. Because every sort of breakthrough that Aunty Donna's had probably came a year or two after I would have dreamt of it coming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
But it came. Things do happen if you stick at it.
Do you think, though, there is a quitting point? Like, how do you know when you're like, I'm not good at this? And I mean, you're not in that position, obviously.
No, for sure.
But I think
I think it's self-reflection and being self-aware. You need that.
being able to pivot as well.
Paired with work ethic. So, work ethic is great, but if you keep throwing, stuff at the wall and nothing's sticking, you've got to be self-reflexive enough to say, this isn't working, what can I do?
Yeah.
And that's been the case for us as well. There's been many, many times where we've done something, put a lot of effort into it, and then learned that that's not what we should do again. Hundreds of times. Like YouTube for us, when we were developing it, their mantra was that you need to make 52 weeks of content a year. And so we did that. And what we saw is a yeah, you know that. And now it's like 4 videos a week is their recommendation or whatever.
Something crazy,
Yeah. What we saw was if for us to do that, we saw an immense diminishment or decline in the quality of our content. And what we had to do was move away from that. If we'd kept doing that, we might have been doing the right thing, quotation marks, but it was actually making our content worse.
I wanted to ask you about pitching. Like, what is that? What is it? What is it? And what does it look like?
It's so interesting. And look, we'd never done a pitch in this style before. Like the Netflix pitch that we did. And again, we pitched to Netflix, we pitched to Amazon, and we pitched to Apple.
And this is all through that one guy whose name is
Egg Helms.
Oh, I think the manager, but yeah,
The first guy, no. So he started us. He gave us all these connections. Then one day we got an email from him before anything was really had a lot of traction, and he was like, "I am leaving Hollywood to become a fireman."
Oh, okay.
Right, which was terrifying because we were like, all right, well, that's dead in the water. But then again, with our sort of philosophy, we were like, well, we'd already made that connection with Egg Helms' production company.
Yep.
Let's just make sure we keep fostering that relationship. And we did, and eventually it turned into something. But this kind of pitch we'd never done before. The only pitches we'd ever really done were in Oz for funding through initiatives with Screen Australia. So they were written applications. We'd never stood in front of a bunch of people and gone, here's this idea for a show.
Do you have like a PowerPoint? Do you act it out? What was it?
It's an art form. The first time we were told we had to make these pitches and take them over, we were all kind of cringing because we consider ourselves quite authentic people, and Hollywood's not a very authentic place, I think is a fair thing to say.
All the mud.
There's a lot of mud. The idea of going in and having to schmooze people over is not really our strong suit.
Yeah.
And so we wrote this pitch up and we showed it to a friend of ours. We asked a friend who's good in this industry to help us develop this pitch, and he pretty much broke down, be charismatic, write it like a script but keep it conversational.
Yep.
Somewhere between a podcast and a live stage performance. Hit your marks, know your things you want to say, but keep it conversational and fun. We brought in sketches from our show. We put them in an order where we could kind of express what the show is going to be about. We kept it fun and jovial. Yeah, that was
So you're doing a performance.
It's
something
absolutely
that you're practicing, and then you come in and you're hitting all your marks, and it's nuts.
It's completely...
And obviously that's different from like pitching a script or a movie idea, because it's one person being like, and then the moon falls down. Moonfall, it's coming out. It's true. It's a real movie.
But I think it's very similar in that sense. Like, we had rehearsed jokes that we would do the same jokes in every meeting. And one of our producers, Mike, I had this joke that I would do every single time when I was describing the character of Broden.
He still does it. He did it on an interview.
I did it on an interview. I love it. It's my favourite joke we've ever written.
It's an in-joke for us. Right. Now for your audience.
I go,
Terrific.
for Broden's character, Broden thinks he's the rock, but actually he's the pebble, right? That's the joke, right?
Right.
Not an amazing joke, but what makes it amazing is when our producer 3 times in a row escalates his reaction to it. And by the time we got to Netflix, I make that joke and he's in the back and he just goes, fuck yeah! All right, Mike, calm down.
But once we realised that it was a performance, we were kind of okay.
That's
what
you guys do.
Then it was a lot easier. Yeah, it was a lot easier.
Monetarily, I've heard there's different ways that Netflix kind of fund projects, but I've also heard that they'll often say, get a loan, pay for it yourself, and then we'll give you the money after you've made it, so they don't outlay any money. How did it work for you, and specifically how much money? No, not that part, but the rest.
I think
the rest of it.
I think if Crown is at one end of the spectrum, we're definitely at the other end of the spectrum as far as Netflix content goes.
Yeah, I don't think they make a show for less money than they gave us. We're on the But they did give more fucking money than we've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was the biggest budget thing we've ever done.
But they did give you the money.
It was a full lock. It was like we pitched them the idea, and then when they greenlit it, they greenlit a first season 6-episode run to this budget.
And I know there's a bit more freedom with the kind of timing of things, because you don't have to have a commercial break here, and it doesn't have to be exactly 22 minutes long for whatever. Were they can be roughly 20 to 34 minutes.
It really is flipping the industry on the head, the whole thing. Like, they had area, like, it would be good if this episode ran for about here, but the main thing is it's funny and it engages people. Like, that's the main thing. And they had notes like, people usually watch to here, so make sure this is a good episode to keep people engaged. And,
okay.
Just things like that, to be honest.
So I guess it's similar to YouTube in that there's an algorithm, and you can kind of work around that, and that'll kind of help it get seen that little bit more. But they really, you mentioned earlier, they didn't really have much input in terms of the content. Was that the case all the way through?
I would say relatively. Like, the team there were from experience in the past, there were young people who were passionate about what we were doing, which we hadn't really experienced from networks. I often consider networks to be very succession looking.
Yeah, right.
And not a lot of trust, especially in new talent.
But what we found is the people we're getting notes from were people similar age group to us who enjoyed our work. Yeah, I don't think we were ever asked to explain a joke.
No.
Oh, really?
No. Like we
Did you find that here? A lot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we had to have, there were times, one of the projects we worked on here, I would say suffered from being noted to death, being like it it has to do this and you have to hit these beats. And there's this one joke that I love, which was, and I think it was Broden's joke. You know how in TV you never see people say goodbye to each other on the phone?
Yeah.
Like that's a thing, like, you know, they're on the phone and they just hang up because goodbye is like a waste of time. You're not going to spend time on it. And Broden had this joke about people just saying goodbye to each other for a full page of like dialogue. It was, all right, bye, playing on that whole thing, riffing on that whole thing.
Yeah.
And we were constantly getting the note, people don't say bye on TV. And we're like, yes, we know. This is the joke that we're making, right? And we just got it so many times. We got it so many times that by the end that we just had to fucking cut it, right? Because they were like, they just didn't get it, right? And they didn't trust that we were like, this is funny and we really like this. Please just let it be a thing. They were like, no, I don't get it, so it has to go. With Netflix, we did the reading of the scripts for them. And the only notes we got were that sketch might not be the best in that part of the episode because that's episode 2 and you want to make sure, and it's maybe not the strongest sketch, so think about changing the episode order or maybe bumping that sketch up. Or one of the notes we got was, this episode isn't weird enough. That was the best note to get because then we just went back into the writer's room and we're like, fuck, let's just dial everything up to 11.
Now it's too weird.
And now it's too weird. And now it's episode 4.
It's too weird.
And that's not to say they didn't help us at all with the shaping of the comedy because, you know, they know that form so much better than us. And we did find that we ran into a lot of problems, you know, kind of like first time taking what we do and stretching it out to more of a half-hour format.
Yeah, I mean, you've obviously never done that.
And we did that work on this series with the order of the written sketches. We were like really wanted to make sure we got that right in the writer's room. And then what we found in the edit is that not once did we get it right. And every episode we had to restructure, flip sketches around.
Were you guys doing your own edits? Like, what does the post-production look like? Like special effects even, when you got to do VO. Who does all that?
We did it all out of a editing and post suite in LA, but Max, who is our director, is also a brilliant editor and edited Audible, funnily enough. But also, the cool thing about doing it in America, it's one of the assets of doing it there is everyone's there. We got paired with a young editor called Santiago Petroza, who worked on Nathan For You and a lot of Absolutely production stuff and has a real eye for the alternative editing. So we kind of just got this incredible intel for how to do comedy editing in a very different way to how we did it.
So so you did the entire thing there. I know you've got a couple of Australians in it, or maybe even more. You got Michelle Brazier, you've got
Randy,
Ben Russell,
Homelander.
It is. So how did you do that then? Did you fly them over? Did they?
Well, Homelander can fly himself.
Oh, of course,
but so he just sort of came in and he just laser-eyed you.
Yeah, laser-eyed me.
Oh no.
Well, there was Michelle was someone we were like, she has to be in the show.
She's pivotal in so many of your sketches.
Yeah.
She's so great.
And it was important to us that we didn't just load it with American talent. We wanted to because there's so many,
what an opportunity to put.
Absolutely. It's like we have to take advantage of that, right? But for us, it was like we do still want it to feel like for our fans, for the people who've been with us for 8 years, that it is our show. And that was a big part of it, was like, let's have those people who are part of the Donna universe in it. And like, Michelle came over pretty much on her own expense because we just wanted her to be in it so bad, and she really wanted to be in it, and you know we helped her out as much.
Yeah, really, right?
Yeah, we had to sort all that stuff out, but we managed to do it. It was really important to us.
And Ben Russell is an American citizen, so he was able to just come over and do it and leave. Yeah, his dad's Texan, I think. Right?
Yeah, but I just wanted to the sketch with Michelle. We were either like, when we had written it, we were like, either Michelle is in it and we film it, or Michelle's not in it and we cut the sketch and we write something else. Like, because it's sort of an echo of a sketch we've already done. You mentioned it earlier.
Sketch.
The school nurse sketch.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of like a sequel to that. And we'd written it and we were just like, we cannot do this unless Michelle's in it. We would have felt so weird to us, and I thought to our fan base, I would have felt like we were cheating them if we did a sequel to that school nurse sketch but just cast a different person.
Yeah.
Like that would have felt like, they're doing an American show now.
Yeah.
You know, they're not doing an Aunty Donna show.
Totally, yeah.
And that was really important to us.
That sketch you have of Michelle being just one of the boys.
just one of the boys.
She's just one of the boys.
Yes! Just one for you. 6 for me. No, there's not 7.
That's such, like, the range that she displays in that. Like, it takes you on a journey and you feel bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You kind of feel what she's feeling. And
Yeah.
It's
That was
incredible.
her idea. That
Was it?
Yeah, like I think we're at
Came
Splendor.
from things getting back to her from other people saying things about her.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not like a regular chick, man. You
Oh,
just-
yeah, she's only successful because she's, one of the boys.
Oh, right, really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, people are awful.
Yeah, people are awful. People are awful. So you filmed everything over there. How was that different than filming here? Did it feel very much the same? Was there more pressure?
Mark made some very good points. We were trying to be super comprehensive and on top of everything through the project. We'd have weekend meetings before we shot, and we were always trying to be really on top of everything. And Mark said before we started shooting, he's like, these are professional Hollywood cameramen and crew. And Mark said they're not going to laugh at stuff like our crew in Australia. They're going to be far more, professional. Let's just be ready that they're not going to laugh at our stuff. They're probably not going to get it. We've just got to make our show and get out of there.
Yeah.
And what we found is that, like, if you empower good people in roles and make them happy and keep them employed, they're going to be great at their job. They just laughed and enjoyed the whole process. Our crew was so wonderful and
Incredible.
lovely.
Really?
Yeah.
Same as Australia, to be honest. And it made me sad to an extent because there's so many great people in Australia in, costume or cinematography or music design and sound design who should be working all the time on interesting shows but don't get the chance. But in Hollywood, there's also just a lot of people. And this was, for them, this is an underdog show because it's being was shot in a very small sound stage in Glendale.
How long was it shot over?
4 weeks,
5
weeks.
5 weeks?
3.5,
10
I
weeks?
thought.
4
Yeah,
weeks?
we had
3 weeks?
Thanksgiving halfway through. So we started
Okay,
shooting
cool.
for 2 days. I'm like, this is going well. And then we're like, all right, have a good long weekend. There was a pretty quick turnaround. It was, once again, longer than we've ever shot on anything but short
Yeah.
for a TV show.
There's one more thing I just wanted to ask you.
Please.
It's just about season 2. Not that you have to confirm or deny anything, but
Yeah.
what would that look like in terms of it unfolding? Do you get a call and they're like, it's a hit and you get ready to go?
It's one of those things, I think, with Netflix, it's a very vague thing where maybe we might find out at some time. I think they need to see that people like it and watch it all the way through. So if you are listening to this, please watch it all the way through.
Yeah.
I think they just need to see that people really care about it and like it, and then we'll know. We would love to know as much as everyone else, but we would die to make another show. We would absolutely love it. Like, as soon as we started writing this one and finished this one, I know in my head, every time any of us talk to each other, it's like, it would be so funny in the second season to take this further and do this. And so, we're keen as heck.
Yeah, because the thing that I've heard about Netflix is that pretty much the only thing they care about are people watching it on their platform. Everything that's happening outside of it, like reviews or whatever, doesn't really affect whether they, whether they,
I guess they know
commission a
what
second
works as
season.
well.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter. It's got 1% on Rotten Tomatoes, but fucking 2 billion people watched it. Doesn't matter.
Real
We're going to
wrong,
make
yeah.
that for those people. So, I mean, I guess the thing is, it's like if you want to see more of it, and we want to see more of it, and you liked it, please watch it.
Don't even tweet it out. Just watch it on Milk.
Just watch it and tell your mates. You know,
Even if you don't like us, it's good for alternative things.
I completely
a
agree.
rising
Yeah.
tide lifts all ships.
So I completely agree. I think this is going to really pave the way for other people as well to see you can do it this way. I think that's really exciting. I think you've done a great service
Thank
to
you,
Australian
James.
comedy and entertainment.
Likewise of you with your channel and always, having a place for people to talk about comics and movies, shooting up your butthole.
I love supporting the biggest industry in the world.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Isn't it brilliant?
The ability to have thoughtful conversations about those things wasn't around when I was a kid, and the fact that you can grow up now and talk about this stuff is awesome.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
I
really
watched all of
appreciate
your
that.
Transformers reviews as well, and they were fucking
So
fantastic.
exhausting.
Oh,
that was
I
a
know.
lot.
That almost killed them, I think.
I know. I was holding on for that last one. I was like, all right, I'll give them a couple of weeks. I know they need a break, but it was awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you haven't watched it, watch it. You guys
Please.
too as well.
I will.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's really exciting, and I'm so happy for you guys that you've pulled this off. And are you going to go back to doing little things in between?
Yeah.
I mean, relatively.
We're going to try and keep doing things for YouTube and stuff. We don't
Like the
wanna be-
Subway sketch.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
We call them morgues, which is make as we go.
Yeah, right.
We love those, and we have a thing with with Netflix where there's only certain types of content we can put on our YouTube channel now, but but that's fine, and because we really care about that audience, and it's very important to us that we keep making content for them.
Thanks again.
No worries.
Cheers.
What's going on? It's the end.
We made it to the end. God, what a fascinating
You were
listen.
really quiet during that.
Well, I was listening with bated breath. I was taking in all the great ideas. Yeah.
And they're really quiet now because they're out of breath.
Yeah, I've been doing so much talking.
That's it.
God, when will these boys shut up?
So we hope you can check out their show. Also, of course, they appeared on our podcast, The Weekly Planet, the latest episode. There's also an episode of Caravan of Garbage from last week where we delve into some Quibi stuff, isn't there, Mason?
That's right. The streaming service they only wish they could have gotten onto.
Yes, that's right. But thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to your favourite YouTube channel, Aunty Donna.
And I hope you learned some hot tips for finally getting on Netflix.
That's right.
James, there's a phone call for you. It's from Hollywood.
What?
Oh, wait, no. It's from Hollywood Video. Apparently you rented a copy of Batman and Robin in 1997. You owe them $11,000.
Goodbye.